Right now, we do have to take a quick detour because it's football at 4. And we want to talk about the Panthers' schedule release from a season ago, or from a day ago. Yesterday is when it was released. The NFL made a very loud statement to the Carolina Panthers. They told the Carolina Panthers they are the least entertaining team in the NFL. They said,
to an extent, yeah.
The NFL believes less people want to watch the Panthers play football than any other team in the NFL. Because every other team in the NFL has a primetime football game, and the Carolina Panthers have none. The closest they have to a primetime game is a game at 9:30 a.m. our time from Germany.
Yeah.
Against the Giants. They have a couple of 4:25 games, but other than that, it's basically Sunday at 1 o'clock every weekend.
They might get a couple of those 425 national spotlights, I think, when they play the Kansas City Chiefs, things along those lines. Just kind of depends on the network and all what the networks want to do and that kind of deal. But nonetheless,
they play the Chiefs, they play the Cowboys, they play the Chargers, they play some big market teams, and even that couldn't get them a primetime game.
Exactly, even that couldn't get them a prime time. But here's something that actually Dan Morgan and Dave Canales were the Panthers posted the videos. Dan Morgan, the GM, Dave Canales, the head coach, along with a couple other people that work for the team, along with Bryce Young and Derek Brown. We're all gathered when the league called in. It's like, all right, here's your schedule for the upcoming season. They started breaking it down and all those kinds of things. And afterwards, Dan Morgan said, and Canales said, we're all Sunday games. And no primetime games. Like you mentioned, no Monday night, no Sunday night, no Thursday. And Dave Canales said, I love this. He's like, I like it because you already know what your week is going to look like. You know that what your Friday is going to be. You know what your Saturday is going to be. You know what your week of preparation is going to look like. You don't really have to deviate. Now there's a chance maybe a part of the season you might get flexed to a Saturday, week 17 or week 18, something like that. But nonetheless, week in and week out exactly what you're going to be doing in terms of your preparation and all those kinds of things. We talked about how the Kansas City Chiefs have games on 6 days of the week. And even
and one that hasn't been named yet. Even remember Adam Gold and Victoria in the Adam Gold Show, as they were closing out the show, mentioned how the New York Jets have 6 primetime games in their first 11. It's like that's hard to deal with as an athlete. It's a lot of weird travel. It's a lot of traveling late into the night. It's a lot of short weeks.
Especially if you have a Monday night game on the road, you're just sitting around all day.
So yeah,
it's just
and all Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways to look at it. One is it is like a diss from the NFL, right? Because every decision the NFL makes is equal, right? Everyone gets the same amount of home games and road games if you look at a two-year breakdown. Every team goes to every other division a certain amount of time. Like everything is made to be equal except for the television schedules.
That's it.
Because that's where the NFL recognizes we're an entertainment product and we will get larger amounts of money if we put Patrick Mahomes on national television more than we put Sam Darnold. And I'm just picking names. So it's the one thing where they go, you know what? We're not protecting competitiveness. We're protecting entertainment. So you could take it as a diss. You could, I saw Jake Delhomme talking to a podcast. And I apologize. Don't know which podcast it is. But he was saying the league doesn't respect us. The team should be upset. The team should be angry. And I don't know if he said it with that kind of, let's go.
That kind of fervor. Yeah.
But you can look at it that way, or you can look at it and say it is a competitive advantage for everything Dennis said. Your Mondays are your Mondays. Your Tuesdays are your Tuesdays. Your Wednesdays are your Wednesdays. There's no, literally, and I know a little bit about this from college because we played a Thursday game every year. You start to get to where, it's Monday, but coach is calling it Wednesday. And he's like, this is a Wednesday practice. Tomorrow we'll do our Thursday practice. Next day we'll do our Friday walkthroughs. And I'm like, that's Wednesday. I get it. It's it all makes sense, and it's not the biggest problem in the world, but it is a little confusing, and it throws you off your rhythm. And I've said this once, I've said this a billion times. Athletes are routine creatures. I was just listening to a podcast with Kirk Cousins. He was on with Will Compton's podcast, and Kirk Cousins they asked if he had any superstitions, and he goes, "Well, I call them routines." It was literally like superstitions.
Yeah.
It was like, I have to leave the locker room at the exact same time before every game. I have to wear the exact same stuff. I have to. He's like, I call them routines because it's stuff I know I can be successful with. But it's all just the weird way athletes are kind of built. So the Chiefs are going to have to get really good at being off schedule. The Carolina Panthers are going to get really, really used to being on schedule, and they're not going to have that wrench thrown in their system because of some primetime game or anything like that.
I think the Houston Texans, for the most part, were like a Sunday 1:00 game all last season, and worked out okay for them.
You can sneak up on some people.
You can.
Here's maybe the most important thing to remember, right? Because it is one of the things you take away from it. Like even the national media members, when the full schedule was released last night, one of the first things they noticed was Carolina's the only team with no primetime games.
Yeah.
The one way to look at it, the one thing you might have to remind yourself is a win at 1:00 on a Sunday and a win at 8:15 on a Monday. Both are just one win in the standings.
They're just a win.
So if you're the Panthers and you want to shock the world, win 8 games, right? If you want to prove them wrong, win 10 games. Now, is that a long shot? Sure, but that's why you are. That's why you're doing it, is because you didn't win many last year.
Be worthy of the audience.
And yeah, exactly. And the other thing is this: we broke it all down yesterday with all the bundling, and you need to watch this, and you need to watch that. Panther fans kind of get a break.
Yeah.
You don't need to subscribe to Amazon Prime to see every Thursday night game if you don't want to.
Nope.
You don't need to know the what streaming service the Christmas Day games are on. Where you don't need ESPN Plus and Netflix and this and that. You just need the traditional package.
You can have an antenna and get Fox and CBS.
That's
all you need.
There you go.
That's it.
So
that's all you're going to need.
Silver lining, I guess, is one way to describe
100%.
This. One way. Another way is just blatant disrespect by the league.
I will say this, though, from a selfish standpoint, because Chris Lee and I do Panthers Playbook. We do an episode every Thursday and every Sunday after a game.
You get to stay on schedule.
My routine is set for the fall. I'm like, I already know what I'm doing. I don't have to worry about a Thursday game or the Monday night. I don't have to worry about any of that either. It's great. Makes my life easier.
That is true.